Hi there, welcome to the Basics of Buddhism course. This is Gayatri, and to begin with, let's start with a simple prayer. This is the essence of dependent origination Dharini. Many of you might know it already. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato hyavadat tesham chayo nirodha evam vadi mahashramanah swaha. All dharmas originate from causes. The Tathagata has taught these causes, and also that which puts an end to these causes. This too has been taught by the great Shramana. In the Basics of Buddhism course, I hope that you will find clarity on a number of terms that have come to be loosely used these days, ranging from mind to consciousness to duality. Sometimes these are confused with the same terms that are used as translations for words from Hindu philosophy or other Eastern philosophies. So this course is basically going to clarify the terminology within the Buddhist context. You'll find the prayer, its translation and meaning in the downloadables and in the additional resources. So do chant along. Let's begin. Lesson 1 deals with the Trilakshana, or the 3 marks of existence. Now, these 3 marks of existence are absolutely foundational to the Buddha's philosophy. What are they? They are Sabbe Sankhara Dukkha, Sabbe Sankhara Nitya, Sabbe Sankhara Anatta. Okay. All compounded phenomena has the quality of dukkha. All compounded phenomena has the quality of impermanence, and all compounded phenomena has the quality of selflessness. What is Trilakshana to begin with? Trilakshana, if you know the basics of Sanskrit, is Trilakshana. 3 marks, signs, symbols, tokens, characteristics, attributes, qualities. Right? In Tibetan, it's known as Thak Gya Sum, or the 3 seals or the 3 mudras. In Buddhism, these 3 characteristics are common to all compounded phenomena and beings, and therefore they are considered the only truths. Let's break even these sentences down a little, and you'll understand why I mean we have to understand specifically what these terms mean. What do we mean by compounded phenomena? You might have heard that phrase very often. Compounded phenomena are simply everything that is constructed. If anything is constructed, it can be deconstructed. Anything that has a beginning has an end. Anything that has been formed can be unformed. That is compounded phenomena. And what are sentient beings? Anything that has sentience, that has the capacity for consciousness and self-awareness, is a sentient being. And in Buddhism, we do believe that all beings in the world are capable of self-awareness eventually as they pass through their lives. Therefore, a bug is a sentient being, a flower is a sentient being, a tree is a sentient being, a blade of grass is a sentient being. And of course, other humans and animals are also sentient beings, right? And therefore, when we say these are the only 3 truths, what do we mean? We say that all compounded phenomena are formed and can be unformed. All beings are born and therefore they will be unborn. There are only 3 things that really last, and that is the knowledge of these 3 seals. Therefore, they are the only truth. But what do we mean by truth? To understand the concept of truth, we have to understand first that there are 2 kinds of truths. There's a relative truth and there's an absolute truth. For instance, I might understand the concept that this world is illusion, is like a dream. It is Maya, as the Hindus say, right? But that doesn't mean I can call the wall in front of me Maya and just try and walk through it. I will hurt myself. So there is a concept of the absolute truth that eventually we are all occupying a dream world. But there's also a relative truth in which I live here. I have to function according to the rules of where I live. I can't just disregard, sensitivity to other beings and to other objects in my relative existence. Therefore, there is a relative truth, which I know is not going to be lasting, but there is also an absolute truth. And therefore, we look at the three seals as representative of the three absolute truths, right? So we won't get, there's also a difference between the different schools of Buddhism, between these aspects as well. What is relative? What is absolute? Is the pursuit of nirvana or moksha itself, relative? Should be, if I'm truly all pervasive, and if everything's an illusion anyway, then what am I escaping from? But those are complex concepts that we'll get into a little later in the tenet systems, and also more explanations as we go through this course. But for now, just understand that the three seals are considered absolute. Okay, they exist, they are real, they've been taught by the Buddha, and therefore they explain our reality to us in a very concrete way. Okay, so what do they mean? A central theme, to Buddhist philosophy, that is the Four Noble Truths, that is the Chatur Arya Satya, and the Noble Eightfold Path, is that we are all subject to delusion, ignorance, misunderstanding, denial of the three marks, the three seals, the three mudras, that this delusion results in our suffering, and that it is possible to remove the suffering if we follow the Eightfold Path. And for instance, when you go into Mahayana Buddhism, there is a fourth seal that says that nirvana is peace. That once you cross these three and once you attain them, you come to the absolute truth, that is a certain peace in steadfastness. So what is Sabbe Sankhara Anicca? Sankhara again refers to compounded phenomena. Sabbe Sankhara Dukkha. All compounded phenomena lead to suffering. However, a lot of the leading Buddhist teachers will tell you that dukkha's translation as suffering isn't exactly correct. It sort of gives the impression of pessimism, as though everything in this world is, woe me. And that's not what the Buddha taught at all. What does he mean by Sabbe Sankhara Dukkha? Sabbe Sankhara Dukkha. Dukkha can be seen as that which has the seed of entrapment, right? So let's say you purchase an ice cream. When you buy the ice cream, you're very happy, you've got what you wanted, you start eating it. By the time it starts, you're going through it, it starts melting all over your hand, and you're just like finishing it. And towards the end, it's sort of like the economic concept of diminishing returns. Everything in this life has a principle of diminishing returns. So the initial hook by which you say, I want this ice cream, right, is the dukkha. It is the hook. It is the trap. It looks like it's going to give you joy, but it's going to end. And halfway through, you're going to start feeling those diminishing returns kick in. You're going to start feeling disappointment. Maybe the chocolate wasn't as chocolatey as you thought. Maybe you should have got the vanilla. Maybe you should have got the strawberry, right? And then, it was a brilliant ice cream and it's over. And how many can you eat? And you can't keep eating because you feel greedy, but it just feels unsatisfactory. And 5 minutes later, you kind of feel hungry again. So that is what is the concept of dukkha. Sabbe Sankhara Dukkha means everything in this world, all compounded phenomena, everything that was born and that has the capacity to be unborn, has the hook, has the trap, of unsatisfactoriness. What is Sabbe Sankhara Anicca? Everything, all compounded phenomena is impermanent. Nothing lasts. Nothing is certain. You can't take it for granted that the ground beneath your feet will not shift. Those of you who've read my book, Anitya, which is the Sanskrit term for the Pali Anicca, is the same concept. And that's what I attempt to explain in great detail, that this principle of change, the suffering, the dukkha of change, is so deeply, we are so deeply enmeshed in it, Why is there sabbe sankhara dukkha? Is because it pulls us back into the cycle of samsara. And, we're thinking, I want to meet the right guy. I want to get the perfect job. I want to get married. I want to have a perfect life. I want to have perfect achievements. And then my life will be okay. And you're thinking, okay, the next milestone when I achieve, I'll be fine. I'll be good with my life. But that's the thing, you won't. Everything turns to ash in your mouth. Why? Because everything is anitya. Everything is anicca. Sabbe sankhara anicca. All compounded phenomena are impermanent. And this is the fundamental truth of life. The greatest relationships that are born are going to go through a dip, are going to go through a breakup, are going to go through a sense of loneliness, separation. The greatest achievements are going to fade. The greatest people are going to die. The people we love the most, pets, dogs, plants, we're going to leave houses behind. We're going to leave countries behind. There is nothing in your life, nothing, absolutely nothing in any of our lives that we can say this is eternal, this is going to last, this is never going to fade. And while that sounds a little bit pessimistic, it's not. Once you go through the philosophy and once you undertake the understanding of impermanence, you realize that you are impermanent too, right? So it's only kind of sad if I'm eternal and everything else is impermanent and then I'm standing here watching everything fade away. Okay, but it's not. We're all impermanent. Even the seasons, even the trees, even the flowers, even the bees. So there is this concept of impermanence that we need to sort of get under the skin of, and we will understand our lives much better. And the third concept is sabbe sankhara anatta. Okay, nothing is all compounded phenomena are without essential self. And what does that mean? The Buddha gives a very beautiful example of the chariot. Okay, and he says, is the chariot the wheels? Is the chariot the pin that holds the wheels to the axle? Is it the seat? Is it, what is, define it? What is a chariot? Is it the thing that moves? Is it that which pulls it so that it can move? And once you start taking apart or deconstructing a compounded phenomena into its smallest parts, you will understand that there is no one part of it that makes it. Nothing in the chariot is the chariot, right? Who am I? So then when I say I am Gayatri, I am this woman, I am teaching this class, who am I? Is I the body? Is it the face? If I have plastic surgery tomorrow, do I not be Gayatri? If, my voice changes or what I do changes, what part of me makes me me? Is it the way I think? What if my thoughts change? What if I read something and I have a, epiphany? Many of you have seen me change careers and, become this other person. Am I still who I am? If I have a different family or, know other people or move into different industries, what about me changes? So then what is this concept of self? What is this concept of I-ness? Is it an ego? What is the ego? Isn't it a combination of thoughts, words, emotions, memories, experiences? So once you begin to see that this concept of I, of self, is very loosely held together like the chariot, and then you start deconstructing it, you'll realize that it is also impermanent, and therefore it has no permanent, certain basis. So sabbe sankhara anatta, everything is without essential nature. Nothing is how it appears. And if you start breaking it down, you'll realize everything changes, right? But here's the thing, we may think, oh, that's, of course I knew that. Everything changes. Relationships change, marriages change, children change, jobs change. The planet is changing, the places we live in are changing. What's great about that? The problem is that when we relate to people and things and places, we're constantly relating to them as though they were permanent. Okay, so whenever preparing for the change, we're preparing for the permanence. We're saying, okay, now I'm going to get married. This is for the rest of my life. So I'm going to take on debts and loans and buy this house, and I'm never going to move from here. And then life and circumstances and people and things happen in ways that we're constantly being separated and reintroduced to this concept of change. And we're starting to find it very, very hard. That's when we take on stress, we take on anxiety, when we're like, why isn't this the way I thought it was going to be? And this becomes the basis of dukkha, suffering, dissatisfaction, right? And it's not that it is unhappiness, it is that hook of samsara, where we feel this needs to be permanent, this needs to be the way I thought it was going to be, because I need it to be that way. I have this fixed notion of self, so everything around me has to adhere to this fixed notion of the world, and only then I, the self, can be happy. But if everything is constantly changing, and I am also constantly changing, what can we hold to a sense of certainty, right? Then when you understand the basis of anatta, that is not self, when you understand the basis of anityata, that is impermanence, then you understand the basis of dukkha, which is this dissatisfaction. And then you begin to let go a little. You begin to be a little freer. You allow things to move around, right? And this experience of I, who I am, is capable of transforming and transmuting along with the environment around you. Okay. And instead of constantly preserving, we flow like a river. And as you know, Heraclitus said, we don't really step into the same river twice, because once you step into it, the river has moved on. And the Buddha, if you read Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha, he also has profound insight as he stands gazing upon the river. And he understands that the world changes. All compounded phenomena change. All sentient beings change. And so too, I change. So these are the Trilakshana, the three marks of existence, and these are the foundational truths of Buddhist philosophy. Thank you for listening. You can post questions in the comments below, and I'll be happy to attempt to answer them. Thank you for listening to lesson 1 of the Basics of Buddhism. I hope you found it enlightening, and I hope you'll be able to like, share, subscribe, and tell people that there is also this way of learning a little bit more about how to be in the world. And above all, I hope it clarifies for you your way of perceiving things and reality, which is in the end the aim. Now to lesson 2.